Hey, you guys. Well, you can see that I'm back home from the trip. It was an amazing, wonderful trip. A couple of you have asked if I'm going to do a video to kind of talk about what happened and to summarize everything and to tell what I learned. And I think that's a great idea. I was thinking about doing that. I had made some notes as I went along. So I'll use those, and they're not in any particular organized order. It's just as they came to me. I wrote them down. I made a note on my phone while I was on the road and jotted down a couple of notes today. Um, if you followed along, you know that I was gone for 22 days. I traveled 6,075 miles in 22 days. I covered 8 states. I was in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Um, I went to Joshua Tree National Park, Grand Canyon National Park, White Sands National Park, the Tonto National Forest, Carlsbad Caverns National Park, Padre Island National Seashore, and I may have gone to some others that I missed, but that I forget. I'm trying to remember all this stuff. Um, I saw a lot of stuff, did a lot of stuff. As you know, if you followed along, it was sort of an impromptu trip. I wanted to go out to Arizona to that rubber tramp rendezvous that was in Arizona. I didn't spend a lot of time there. I went and saw it and did that and then did other stuff. I relied on some of your suggestions. Some of you insisted that I go see certain things, and that's how I ended up going to a lot of the national parks that I didn't really plan to go to, that I never thought I had much interest in, and that now I know I love. Um, you told me to go to Big Bend National Park. I don't even think that was on my list. Yeah, I went to Big Bend National Park too. So Big Bend, and then a couple of you suggested and insisted that I go to Carlsbad, which was amazing. And so I saw all these amazing, wonderful things because of some of your suggestions. I just kind of let the days and the time play out, and each day I would decide where to go. And sometimes I would tell you I was going somewhere the next day, and by the time I woke up the next morning, I had changed my mind and went and did something better. So it just turned out to be an amazing trip. I'm glad I did it exactly like I did it. I had never gone car camping like that before. It was wonderful. I loved it. Loved every minute of it. What else? Some of you have asked, what did it cost? Well, I don't have any exact figures, but I'll give you a little idea of what I spent. My main expense was gasoline. I bought one tank of gas every single day, I think. I think every single day I bought a tank of gas. And usually, I think it averaged about $30, $32 a tank. And so you can do the math on that. 30 times 22 days. So what's that? Well, I'll just do it here. I think what's that, about $1,000. 22 times 30. No, that's 660. I don't know what I'm thinking. So let's say $32 a tank times 22 days. $700. That's not too bad. 22 days of travel for $700 in gas. Now, I spent a fair amount of money on food, and you guys saw me. Some of you commented on how much I was spending at Starbucks. Yeah, that was that was the one thing where I splurged a little bit. And I wasn't in particularly trying to take a real inexpensive trip. I just wanted to try this kind of van life, SUV life, camping, nomad, boondocking sort of thing that I've seen so many other people do, and following people out here on YouTube, and thought I'd try it, and it was just fascinating. I loved every minute of it. So, I don't know what I spent. You can add up what I spent at Starbucks. Too much, probably. That's overpriced coffee. But anyway, I would go in there and sit down, and it gave me a chance to use their Wi-Fi and to upload the videos every day, and to sit there and edit those sometimes if I hadn't done that the night before. And to have a little caffeine and a pastry or something. So that was a luxury that I enjoyed doing. I ate out a good bit. And I don't eat fast food. I didn't eat many fancy meals. It was mainly fast food stuff. What else? I did buy a National Park Pass, the America the Beautiful Pass. It's $80 for the year. Now, once you turn 62, and I'm not 62 yet, I'll be there in a couple of years. Once you turn 62, you can buy an $80 pass that's a lifetime pass. So anyway, mine's good for the year, and I used it several times. I definitely paid for it because some of the places would be like $25, $30 for a car to get into a national park. So I mean, it worked out fine for me, and I can use it the rest of the year. What else? Let's see what else came up. I made some notes on my phone there. These are just kind of random as that I jotted down because I knew that I was going to make this video, and I was curious thinking about what have I learned from this trip, and I'm sure over time more things will come up. I learned that you can go and see and do anytime you want to, as long as you have the time off work or have the time available to do it. That you can go and see and do anytime. You know, it doesn't have to be an elaborate plan. You can get in the car, throw your stuff in the car and go, and it doesn't have to be any fancy deal. And you don't have to stay at a fancy place, and you don't have to go do, exotic things. You can just go and see and do stuff. And I love that. Oh shit, is this thing still recording? I just hit the wrong button. All right, you're still recording, I think. Okay, I learned that I love the Southwest. Absolutely loved it. I knew that I was going to love the Southwest, and I did. I really, really, really loved the Southwest. I want to go back. I learned that I love camping. Now, I love camping the way I did it. Camping in cities and camping along the way to places that I could just pull in a place and not have to spend $150 on a motel, not have to drag all the stuff inside, check in, worry about getting the best price and all that. I just pull in a place and go to sleep and, get up the next morning and go. And it's easy. It was easy. Now, I have not been camping. Before that, I had not been camping in about 40 years. And so I learned that I love camping. Now, whether or not I would love going out to a campground and sitting for a few days and camping, I don't know. I'll have to try that and see. And I probably will do some of that, but I don't know. But I love camping along the way on a trip like I did. I learned that less is more. I knew that I was going to have too much stuff. I learned from all the other videos I had watched over the years. People would always say, that they learned that they didn't need all that stuff. Well, I thought I packed kind of light, but there's still lots of crap I took that I didn't need. Lots of stuff, you think stuff you're used to doing and having at home, you think you got to take it with you. Well, I didn't need all that stuff. I'll do another video on maybe some of the things that I really loved having and that I used the most. I learned that Texas and California do traffic better. They let you go. Of course, it's more wide open, especially West Texas and California. Man, they give you a speed limit and let you go. And if you want to take a hairpin curve at 80 miles an hour, well, that's on you. They're not going to regulate it and tell you. So I love that. I mean, coming back east, and got back out of California and Texas, man, and then it started again. The zones where you go from 65, 45, 35, 25, 15, and then up and down on these back roads. It's like, oh, it's a nightmare. But in California, in Texas, man, they let you roar. They let you go. I love that. I learned that Texas is booming. Everything about Texas is just booming. Even out in the middle, even in West Texas, going through those oil fields, man, it's just booming. The traffic jams in the middle of nowhere, just crazy. The whole state seemed to be booming. I learned that gas stations are further apart out there. I learned that I couldn't get down to empty and then start looking for a gas station. I had to start thinking about it, maybe at half a tank and for sure at a quarter of a tank. I better have a plan. I learned that I knew this already, but I was reminded that we live in a beautiful and amazing, wonderful country that's so diverse. The landscapes are so different. The people are so different. Cultures are different all across this land, and I loved it. I love seeing all of that and experiencing that. I learned that the back roads, and I knew this already too, the back roads are far more interesting than the interstates. Get off on the back roads. No matter where you're going, get off and ride down the back roads. There's so much more interesting. Even if there's no landmarks or anything down there, it's just interesting things to see. You see how people are living. I ran into all sorts of cool, interesting things doing that. I learned that Whataburger is the best deal out there in fast food. I could in Texas, I could get a Whataburger, a big Whataburger cheeseburger with lettuce, tomato, onions, pickles, and covered in jalapenos for $5.99. Now I got one here in Georgia last night, and it was $6.89. So things are more expensive here on the East Coast apparently. But I thought that was the best deal. Ate at Whataburger a lot. I loved going to that pistachio land, that place in Alamogordo. I loved that it made me start eating pistachios, and I started buying those at some of the Walmarts I stopped at. And that was a cool place. I loved that. And I learned I'm allergic to a lot of nuts, but I learned that I could eat those, and I'm not allergic to those. I learned that the national parks are just amazing in this country. We've got national parks, national forests, national seashores, and on and on and on. And I never have given those much attention, and I'm going to do a lot more of that and go and see and do a lot more of those. I learned that I prefer being around people than in complete isolation. Now, I did love staying in isolation out in the desert, out in the Mojave Desert. That was really cool. That second to last night when I stayed on that remote beach down in the bayou in Louisiana, that was a little creepy. That was too remote for me. Glad I did it, but it was a little too remote. I don't necessarily need a crowd, but I'd like to know some other people are around within shouting distance or something, you know. I learned that the East Coast is pretty frantic and crowded. There are too many cars and too many people. I've told a couple of people, once I got going west, after I got on the other side of Houston, the stress lifted. Everything opened up. The skies opened up. The land opened up. Less cars, wider roads. It was just less stress. Coming back east, once I hit Houston, it all started closing back in. And the closer I got to Atlanta, the tighter it got. And I got back to Atlanta on Thursday and hit rush hour traffic coming around the loop, the I-285 loop. And it was just crazy. People zipping and zinging out of traffic, driving recklessly, forcing themselves in front of me. And I thought, what am I doing living in this chaos? I thought that. Don't know if I'll do anything about that, but I thought about that. I loved how it was just more open and laid back on the West Coast. And I know it's not everywhere. I know that you've got traffic in LA and traffic in the cities, but it's different. It really is different. I learned that there's a whole lot more out there to see and to do that I haven't done yet. I learned that I'm not done yet, that I kind of got the itch to go and do some of this. I learned that this boondocking car camping thing is a lot easier to do in the West than it is on the East Coast. It's a lot more acceptable out there. It can be done everywhere though, but it's easier to do on the West Coast. I can do it here. I've been studying and looking at the apps that show all these places. I can see in Florida it's more difficult, especially in Florida it's more difficult, but you can still do it. There's places in Georgia I want to go. I see that I can go to Savannah, and there's places I can boondock and camp on the street in Savannah. I think that would be fun and cool to do. I haven't been to Savannah in years. I used to go a lot. So I've learned that I'm not done yet. I'm going to go do more of this. I've scouted out some of the national forest, and there's campsites that are built along the national forest roads, some really cool places along really cool creeks, and I'm going to go do some of that. Lots more to go and see and do. So I've learned that I'm ready. Let's go somewhere. So that's just a few thoughts off the top of my head. I know I missed a bunch of stuff. Some of you will chime in and have more to add to that, and think of things that I missed, and I will think of more things in the future. I need to do probably another video on things that I use the most. This little light, I probably use this little light more than anything. That was just an amazing thing. I bought a pair of these on Amazon, and they were awesome. You just charge them up USB, and Used those a lot. Loved my little butane heater that I bought. That was a great buy. Loved my power banks, although I had way more than I needed. What else? Oh, there's a lot. I'll have to do another video on equipment. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys following along on this trip. I know you probably have not watched a 15-minute video of me talking about all this stuff, but I wanted to summarize this and think about it. And so it was just an amazing, wonderful trip. A wonderful 6,000 miles in 22 days, and I don't regret it. And there's no reason to sit at home and do nothing. You can go out and see and do, and it doesn't have to be real expensive. All right, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you later on.